Good afternoon to the respected PGGSS faculty, and welcome. I welcome all the learners who have joined today for this interaction. So, topic for the today's interaction is management of the agrobiodiversity for social and economical viability. In Unit 1, we studied about the agrobiodiversity concept, origin, and its importance. And today we'll be briefing about what are the causes of shrinking agrobiodiversity and what are the consequences of this. So again, we shall brush up the earlier definition of land use this by agrobiodiversity. Agrobiodiversity, it is land use management. It is a sustainable, eco-friendly land use management, land use practice, which is combining both forestry, agriculture, and even livestock rearing with objective to improve the productivity, increase the biodiversity, soil fertility, and reduce the soil erosion, and also improve the livelihood and income generation of the farmers or the local community. So various benefits we have discussed earlier also, that it is having effects on the environment, on ecology, on society, on individuals' income, and overall it is very beneficial for the our ecosystem. So the components which it includes are pollinators, herbivores, earthworm, soil mesofauna, microfauna. Then the functions, also the biodiversity or ecological functions we have already discussed: pollination, competition, allelopathy. That means presence of one plant species will inhibit occurrence of other plant species. Then soil structure, then it will have in the nutrient cycling, decomposition, then natural biological control of pests. It is also a function of this agrobiodiversity ecosystem. Then some enhancement can be done in this system, like intercropping, rotation. Rotations also helps to increase the biodiversity. Then is the windbreaks, no tillage, farming, composting, windbreaks. So overall, agroforestry system, they have the positive impact on air, water quality, soil improvement, biodiversity conservation, then carbon sequestration, climate change adaptation and mitigation, as well as it is solving the issue of food security and safety. Therefore, we are calling it as it is doing the social and environmental viability. It is strengthening our ecosystem. It is strengthening our sustainability towards the environment. Therefore, we are calling it as a social and environmental viable tool, viable uh, practice. So let us come to the shrinking agrobiodiversity. What are the causes of shrinking biodiversity? Now, the intensification and homogenization of agriculture ecosystem have led to the significant losses in agrobiodiversity. There has been a loss of crop and livestock species due to this, and there is the erosion of genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is very much required for adapting to the climate change, because the new genes, whatever, are required to be integrated into new species that we have that is being eroded. The base is being eroded. So 20% of reported livestock breeds are classified at risk during last 6 years. 62 breeds became extinct. This is a concern. This is a very alarming thing. Then loss of biodiversity, pollinators, soil biodiversity also is happening. Then it has a potential threat to long-term sustainability of agriculture system and also on food security. Rapid expansion of industrial and green revolution is one of the reasons. Then replacement of local varieties by high yielding or exotic varieties is also the reason. Then land clearing, over exploitation of species, they are all resulting into epidemic disasters of various kinds. Then we can have a glimpse of what are human pressures which are or the threats to agriculture biodiversity. The population growth, poverty, overexploitation of natural resources, pollution, and even the urbanization. Urbanization, usually we ignore it, but I should mention here that often cities occupy only 2% of Earth's surface, yet they consume about 75% of natural resources and has ecological impacts on very vast areas. So urban diversity is also a big dimension on which we have big topic on which we have to study and make research, and other factors, the urban and peri-urban areas, there are also fringes which needs to be conserved and put into use for this regeneration, or even they can put into use to agrobiodiversity systems. So the threats includes loss of plant and animal species, loss of other races, breeds. Then it affects the natural process, like it also affects the uh, pollination done by insects and birds, regeneration of soils by microorganisms, and also it reduces the resilience of the ecosystem. Effect on annual and perennial crops. Crop fields are subject to intense disturbance due to this. Repeated deep blocking as well as fertilization are major factors for decline of species richness and abundance of numerous organisms. The chemical protection of an orchards, when we spray various chemicals, various fertilizers on orchards, fruit trees, apple trees, etc. So they ultimately affect the functional diversity and it compromises the natural regulation of some pests which are present in the nature. The communities of soil organisms directly affected by changes in physical and chemical environment with consequent effects on species richness and composition. The modification of tropic chains of food, various tropic levels when the food chain is exchanged or distributed, that is affected. And in the aquatic ecosystem, the eutrophication occurs from leaching of nutrients, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Then we come to the effects of modification of landscape complexity and fragmentation. Due to the structural modification, the heterogeneity or complexities of the landscapes gets modified. And the landscape homogenization leads to the simplification of communities by decreasing the presence of rare species and increasing common species. By the simple rule, if the landscape is more heterogeneous in nature, there will be more species diversity. The abandonment of marginal agricultural landscape has also led to a homogenization of vegetation cover, which affects the biodiversity. The presence of grassland, no doubt, in a landscape is favorable for biodiversity. Then are the effects of organic agriculture. Organic agriculture, it is boon to the ecosystem. The richness of the plants and soil organism and arthropods, it is increased. It is favorable to the predator species, which are often involved in the biological control of pests. It is beneficial for the soil fauna in crop fields and neighboring margins of the fields. Then what are the gaps in the knowledge? While evaluating the biodiversity reasons, we usually skip the ecological and economical factors, but we should take a holistic approach for to value all the components of biodiversity and understanding of sociological, economical, legal, and technical process and socioeconomic factors are required to be investigated and understood and to understand the dynamic of these changes. For the sustainable use of agriculture, it is important that we should go for integrated agroecological approach, integrated pest management, soil biological management, community-based adaptive management. Then local knowledge system should be considered, which multiple user species will be utilizing, what is the community perspective towards it. Then ecosystem approach, we should address all component system functioning services to human management. To strengthen the viability, we should also focus on the farm livelihood system with underutilized and undervalued biodiversities. What are the opportunities for that? What options could be undertaken in grassland, mountain ecosystems, in a mountain system, ecosystem adaptation to altitude, disease, resilience, then marketing, the niche market, organic agriculture market for diverse products should be strengthened. Recognition of ecological services, the valuing of ecological services provided by biodiversity associated with agriculture system should be considered. Then there is a need to build an ongoing global agro-biodiversity intergovernmental processes. Uh, there is convention on biodiversity. They are running various program of work on agriculture biodiversity. So there should be a synergy between them. Like they are providing the assessment for components, adaptive management, capacity building, and mainstreaming these programs. So we should have some synergy uh, with these programs. Then there is International Initiative for Conservation and Sustainable Use of Biodiversity, International Initiative for Conservation and Sustainable Use of Pollinators, then International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, International Plant Protection Convention, then Commission on Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. Then one more seed treaty is there, that is legal binding instrument for sustainable agriculture. It provides a framework for national, regional, international efforts to conserve and sustainably use plant genetic resources for food and agriculture, and for sharing the benefits equitably in harmony with Convention on Biological Diversity. Then comes the global strategy for management of farm genetic resources. The FAO is also coordinating its development to guide international action for sustainable use, development, and conservation of domestic animal diversity. It is supported by Intergovernmental Technical Working Group on Animal Genetic Resources. What they do? uh, they study the trends in the livestock sector, the state of capacity to manage animal genetic resources, the state of the art in animal genetic resources management, and gaps and needs in animal genetic resources management. Then comes the soil biodiversity and its management. Even the managing termites and organic mulch for soil productivity is very important. Surface mulch, which is applied to soils, it stimulates the termite feeding and burrowing, which ultimately leads to improved soil structure, better formation, and enhanced soil function. Also, mixing and burying of termites can be stimulated by applying their feeding can be promoted, and soil regenerative activities can be enhanced. So this is a glimpse of soil biodiversity. Macrofauna, microfauna, roots or in the soils are like this. So bacteria, fungi, fungi. In Himachal Pradesh, they use colonies of honeybees to enhance the pollination of apple crop. Domestic animal genetic resources are also at risk. So what is desired? by government, that is, they should include the stakeholders in the decision making, identification of sources of funding. They should support the breeders association and also strengthen the extension services. For enhancing agriculture biodiversity, sustainable agriculture is the must. It is mostly required to be done and it should be emphasized. For this, we need to use increased use of mixture, that is intercropping, multi-story, agroforestry, livestock system, then access to wide range of good quality genetic material, improvement in genetic diversity, developing sustainable management practices and post-harvest and marketing methods. Most important is the targeting farmers, increasing farmers' access to germplasm and information. Until and unless the at root level this is not done, it is of no use to start from top level. It has to be done from the root level. So information and seed exchange between the farmers has to be increased. Access to research generated germplasm is to be strengthened. Participatory meetings with farmers organization is mandatory, and also the joint activities for improved information sharing. Test new option for seed dissemination. Access available information and needs, land use, habitat, species, which species they should take, what habitat is suitable for which species. All this kind of information should be disseminated to the respective farmers or the end user. Develop and pilot intersectoral methodology, land use, land, water, and other resource ecosystem. Identify indicator and tools. With the help of questionnaire, field surveys, we need to identify the indicators. Then capacity building programs. Then compatible database should be developed, which could be analyzed for any resource maker, policy makers, which it should be made available to them for making a proper decision of that area. So ultimately what we require is, there is a need to increase resilience of agriculture and human capacity to adapt. Both the things has to be done simultaneously. That means by what? By adopting different sustainable agroforestry system and maintain a wide array of life forms with unique traits. So this is the need of an art that we should do. Then coming up to Biodiversity Act, the Biological Diversity Act 2002 was notified by Government of India on 5th February 2003. The Act extends to the whole of the India and reaffirms the sovereign rights of the country over its biological resources. Subsequently, the Government of India had published Biological Diversity Rules 2004 on 15th April 2004. So this act is a big act. It has many ramifications, many things are mentioned under this. But for today's class, in this context, we are talking about the agrobiodiversity. And relating to this, I'm mentioning this because in this, the rule under section 22 states that every local body shall constitute a biodiversity management committee. So उनको biodiversity management committee form करनी है, BMC form करनी है within its area for the purpose of conservation, sustainable use, and documentation of biological diversity, including preservation of habitats, conservation of land races, folk varieties and cultivars, domesticated stocks and breeds of animals and microorganisms, and chronicle and documenting of knowledge related to biodiversity. Means the BMC will document the whole biodiversity which is there in that area, in that Gram Panchayat. Every aspect of agrobiodiversity and other biodiversity they will document in that area. Earlier there were the forest management plan, forest working plans are there, but this is the first initiative in which the agrobiodiversity of at village level it is being documented in whole of our India. And this is very important document for analyzing risk, threats, and also recognizing some potential species if they are present in that area. Otherwise, there was none of the document documented by the government which could be used as a reference for research or for uh, other kind of for analyzing other kind of threats or even the potentials. So in this, what they are doing is, there is one authority, National Biodiversity Authority (NBA), which is located in Chennai. They are giving the directions and technical support to the state biodiversity boards. The state biodiversity boards are formed in all states of India. So it is guided by the guidelines which are given by the National Biodiversity Authority or the NBA. So what is the role of state biodiversity board? State biodiversity board is the main role of SBDs is the formation of biodiversity management committees, BMCs. So how these BMCs are formed, this we should know for our general knowledge also. This as an aware citizen of India, as an aware sustainable practitioner, as an aware student, we should know what are the BMC, what they are doing, because it is happening all around us. So what is BMC actually? So they are established by both the panchayats and even the municipalities for the purpose of promoting conservation, sustainable use, and documentation of biological diversity. See, once this BMC is formed, their role is to prepare the People's Biodiversity Register. Now, there are some rules, simple rules. According to the BD Act, this biodiversity management has to be constituted at Zilla Parishad Block Panchayat of Gram Panchayat level. So BMCs are the statutory bodies at local level. They are responsible for promoting conservation, sustainable use, and documentation of biological diversity, including the preservation of habitat, conservation of land races, folk varieties and cultivars, domesticated stocks and breeds of animals and microorganisms, and knowledge related to the biodiversity. The panchayats have to ensure that biodiversity management committees are to be integrated with functioning of panchayats by regular coordination meeting and other such measures as determined by the local bodies. So the BMC, the role of BMC is to prepare the PBR, People's Biodiversity Register, which is in the local language, you can say it is a granth of that area. In that, this PBR, People's Biodiversity Register, everything about that area's biodiversity will be documented. So let us see what is there, what NBA is guiding, what formats the NBA is giving, what they need to fill, what BMC has to do. We'll have a glance of that. So this is it visible?
No, you have to share the screen.
No, I've opened this hyperlink. Is it? Is it
hyperlink है इसीलिए in that case
okay?
Anyway, okay. Reshare इसमें whole screen hyperlink के लिए भी whole screen share तब तो you have to share the whole screen. आप sharing off कर दो, please off the sharing. Then reshare the whole screen.
Okay.
Let's choose the screen. Screen may be problem. I don't know. इसका. Otherwise, to open है, you just select that one. You must have opened the link.
Just a second. Just a second. Is it visible now?
Yes, yes, yes.
So we were talking about what NBA has guided. So according to this BD Act, this BMC has to be constituted first of all at village level, at municipality level. So there are 7 members which usually have to be nominated, which have to be in PBR. First of all, there is section 1 and section 2. In section 1 we get the general details of that area, where is it located in district, state, what is habitat, land use, and in that BMC 7 members are there. One elected chairperson is there, and 6 persons are nominated by the local body, not less than 1/3 to be women and not less than 18% belonging to SC/ST. So these are the 7 members. These are the important persons. So in Exer 2, then we get the list of all Vaids, Hakims, traditional health cares who are present in that village or which are residing there. From them only we get the knowledge of the traditional practices which are being done from last many years, जो कि which are at the verge of extinction if we will not document them right now. So this is also an important annexure list of Vaids, Hakims, and traditional healthcare, human and livestock. They will provide the all uses which they know, which is with them only. Then a list of individual persons who are expert in the field of agriculture, fishery, forestry, etc. Then school of colleges, etc. This is the end of part 1. Then comes the part 2, PBR formats, agro biodiversity, which is very important and relevant for today's class also. So in PBR formats in agro biodiversity, what they do, they document all the crop plants, whatever they are available. They write the scientific name, local name, variety, area, cropping season, associated traditional knowledge. This is also very important. Then source, community knowledge holder, किसने बताया, who is telling. Like this, agro biodiversity is being documented for crop plants, then for fruit plants. The same way, everything, even the past and present status is also there. If somebody wants to study or do the research on specific species about their availability, abundance, from there, here also it can be documented, it can be supported. Then fodder crop species, similarly, everything is being documented. Then weeds, which weeds are there, even from local name, they find the scientific, later on people will only document the local name of weeds. Then pest of crops, much more, but pests are there. Then what are the markets for domesticated animals. Then about the socioeconomic condition of that area. Then about the landscape, what kind of landscape is there, ownership, management practices, fauna, flora. Then what is the availability of water in that area, ownership, management practices, user group, ponds, streams, lakes, tube wells, dug wells, lakes, everything has to be documented in this. Then what is the soil type, flora, fauna, color, texture, features, soil management. Then domesticated biodiversity, what do they domesticate? What kind of food trees they grow in their home gardens, medicinal plants, herbs, shrubs, trees. Then ornamental plants, timber plants, trees, domesticated animals, fisheries. Then there is one section about the fairs and markets of domesticated animals where they are sold. Wild biodiversity, what kind of tubers, herbs, grasses, climbers, trees they are grown, what is their habitat, owners, part collected, associated traditional knowledge with that associated with that species. Then wild plant species of importance, aquatic biodiversity. Then comes the wild plant species of importance, medicinal plants, wild relatives of crops, ornamental plants, chewing plants, timber plants, marine flora, wherever there is coastal areas, only that state will do that. This also, then wild animals, this mammals, birds, reptiles, and then is the urban biodiversity. This is not related to agrobiodiversity, till here only. Format 28. These are filled for agrobiodiversity, documenting the agrobiodiversity of that area. So we are, why we are discussing this? This is very important in even in your area, in your villages also. These BMC have been formed. Whenever you next time you go to that area, your village, you can find out what that BMC is doing, how, who is the member of that BMC, and how this state biodiversity boards are funding the BMCs, what conservation or sustainable programs they can run, what villages, how can the villages or even your relatives or who are working in this farming areas, or even if you want to work in this farming areas, sustainable farming areas, how can you get the grants from them? So if you want to get patent done of anything, then also the now uh, mm, permission of state biodiversity board is required. So it is good to know about the state biodiversity boards, their functioning, NBA, their functioning, and how we can use these funds, how we can utilize these funds for sustainable agriculture, agroforestry practices, conservation practices. It is there, mandatory, it is there are funds, we should know that. So what PBR is doing, PBR is documenting the traditional fishes, traditional plants, wildlife habitats, and it also supports claims of local ownership of biodiversity and traditional knowledge in that village. We have already discussed about the PBR preparation. BMC is forming, we are sensitizing the people, why it is being formed, training the members. And once this PBR is formed, it is cross-checked by the technical group also. It is not like that anything they will write, but it is also cross-checked by some technical experts also. So it is being analyzed, validated in consultation with various technical support groups, and then in the last it is being computerized, and additions will go on. It is not a document once it is made and kept somewhere. The addition are in process everywhere in every state. So ensuring community participation in PBR is very important. Otherwise, it will be of no use until and unless the people are the questionnaires are filled by the people. Then only it is important, and this is being checked. They are made by only the villagers, the BMCs, the local people, and it is endorsed by BMC. This is periodically updated with additional and new information as and when generated. It is documented. The knowledge and views of both genders are to be recorded. The women and men both, what are their views regarding agrobiodiversity or biodiversity of the area is being recorded. So this is what I was telling about the funds. There are local biodiversity funds also. So the guidelines are also available where we can use those funds, who can use. So once BMC is constituted, immediately its operation should commence, and a set of tasks need to be completed in period of 12 months. And any unspent part of startup BMC fund may be utilized at later date. Then BMC may be authorized to retain up to 50% of sanctioned grant amount and make use of the interest for conducting their activities. These shall be made mandatory for panchayats as per Act, and each gram panchayat shall spend the required amount for preparation of biodiversity register from the development fund. So funds are there. So BMC have greater role to play in halting agrobiodiversity loss and protect and prevent the extinction of the threatened species. It ensures the holistic approach which mandates inclusion of biodiversity. So there should be convergence in the planning process. Uh, with this remark, I conclude this presentation and today's conservation. If anybody is having some questions, they can ask. Thank you.